Death has taken our beloved Scott. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there's lamentation. In their tears there's loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, be with them. For Scott's love that united us in life, in which death cannot sever. For his companionship that we shared along life's path, and which continue through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness, and is now a precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks. Those who wish may join me in the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. For everything there's a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. In the rising of the sun and its going down, we will remember Scott. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, in the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember him. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, in the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember Scott. When we are weary and in need of strength, when we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember him. When we have joys we yearn to share, we'll also remember him. So as long as we live, he too shall live, for he will always be a part of us as we remember him. Today we're here with our friends. We're assembled in the darkness that has fallen upon them. We raise our voices together to the source of life, asking for comfort and strength. We need light when glooms darken our lives. We need fortitude and courage when pain and loss assail us. May we find these in God who preserves from destruction all that is good. Let us find them too in loved ones and companions who do God's work by binding up the wounds of the stricken. Who among us here has not passed through trials and bereavements? Some bear fresh wounds in the kinship of sorrow. Others whose days of mourning are more remote still recall the comfort that sympathy brought to their sorrowing hearts. May our sharing of sorrow and our deeds of solace bring comfort to the loved ones of Scott Spero. Today as I said earlier, we're assembled here not only to remember Scott, but to help the family and help ourselves through this horrible time. It's hard for any of us here to try to express or say something to a father or a mother when they lose a child. It's not the way life is set to be. It's not the natural way. We all express, and we all think that a parent should die before a child. Unfortunately, that isn't what has happened today or times before. We can only show Billy and Karen, Tom, and Pam our strength. We can also share with them our tears. And most of all, we can share with them our stories of Scott, which we'll hear more about in a moment. I will say, the family wrote the obituary in the paper about Scott. His friends did. I don't know if all of you had a chance to read it or online. I didn't know Scott. I wish I did from that obituary. He was a person who enjoyed life more than one way. His smile, his love of music, his love of photography, love for his family, his love for his son. You shared a lot together. Shared with his brother, very close. Michael, you and Scott. Matt, it's hard when we lose a parent, no matter what age. They gave us life. Now, we must go on and each day remember that life that they gave us. Remember the good times, the bad times. And I think if you kept this obituary and put it in your wallet, and every time you start remembering the bad times, pull out this obituary. You'll remember the good times too. That's for sure. That smile in the picture is the smile you should all remember. And this time we're going to begin our brief remarks, first with his first cousin, Leah Winsberg. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Michael, you wanted to go first. Michael, his brother, has a few remarks.
Well, the past few weeks have been some of the saddest in our lives. On behalf of my entire family, I want to thank you all for reaching out. The outpouring of texts, calls, messages have truly been amazing. I want to thank my wife, my amazing wife and kids, for their unwavering love and support. I could not have survived without them. And Dean and Liz, and my friend Pat, there's just not enough words. I had written this for last night, so for everybody who was able to come out last night and celebrate Scotty, it was exactly what he would have wanted, you know, fun, friends, a party. You know, that's what Scotty was. And for me to get through this, it was a lot easier to write it down, and I could see that look on his face. Dude memorized everything he read, and then he would recite it back to you whether you wanted to hear it or not. Scotty was a great friend to all. There was nothing he wouldn't do for the people that he loved, but he would do the same for the people that he barely knew. He wanted to save everyone who needed it, and honestly thought that he could. Social media is a wonderful tool for times like these, and we read through all the comments about Scoot, and the majority of them had the same exact things to say. So just to share a few, Scotty was brutally honest. He was brutally honest, and if you were ever looking for an intelligent debate or conversation, he was your man. He was one of the smartest people I ever met, and so well read. If he wasn't quoting poetry or music lyrics, he was talking politics and taking pictures. Three things he loved more than anything in life. Of course, his son, Matt, he was so proud of you. Taking pictures, of course, but only using his cell phone. He bought more cameras in return than any man I've ever known. Scotty could go on for hours showing you those pictures on his phone, and his own words, hey man, come check it out. And of course, music. He loved all kinds of music. He would listen to anything all day long. And in the words of the Grateful Dead, there's nothing like music to relieve the soul and uplift it. Our best friend Lizzie said Scotty was a package deal, and he was. Like Dean, with you, he also got my wife, Julie. And that was one relationship that he valued beyond measure. They could go on for hours about anything and everything. I was lucky enough to see him every day. I got to say good morning and good night. I will miss him. I'll miss seeing him doing whatever Scotty did at his desk, which half the time he was sleeping. But most of all, I'll miss the joy he got when a good show would come into town. And I will miss you every day, buddy. Thank you guys all for being here today.
Now, Liz.
Morning. For those of you that I don't know, I'm Leah, and Scott was my cousin. Last time I was standing up here was actually with Scott and Mike. We were sending off our Grandma Ev, and for those who knew Grandma Ev, she was a Spitfire, which is why her and Scott had such a special relationship. I remember how Scott reached over and held on to me. Encouraging me to fight through my tears as we said a few words in honor of Evelyn, even though he was fighting through his own tears. Scott didn't often show his emotions, but he felt them intensely. We grew up in a very small, very tight-knit family, and Scott was such a tremendous presence. I was an only child for most of my life, so Scott played the role of a big brother for me. He and Mike were there from the earliest memories that I ever have, playing with me over my dad's overprotective objections and supporting me, showing me how to hang with the big dogs, and giving me the unconditional love. That was Scotty. He loved us with everything he had in him, and then extended to his close friends who were just like family. And for the women close to him, we were lucky enough to see that softer, gentler, more vulnerable, and incredibly affectionate side of Scotty. I'll never forget how he drove across town as I got ready for my big first high school dance just to tell me that I looked beautiful in my dress. Not his style, but, he knew it would mean a lot to me. Or how he'd call me up randomly without any reason just to say hey, and before I knew it, it had been an hour on the phone, and he had talked about 8 different topics of conversation, and I may have gotten a few words in, but I didn't want to hang up. He prioritized true and genuine connections in his life in every way. Every person here is a testament to that. He held strong to his friendships for decades. His laugh was absolutely infectious, and he was as brilliant as he was hilarious. But you had to keep up. He spoke fast, and he used the F word, strung along like a pronoun in between all of his thoughts. But he spoke with passion about everything, from literature to history to politics to music to photography to family to food. And although I became the lawyer in the family, we all know it should have been Scott. He could argue anyone under the table, and with that Winsburg stubbornness, he would never give in, even arguing a side he didn't believe in just for the sake of a good debate. He pushed me and challenged me throughout my life, and he was always there with that big old Buddha belly to give me the warmest hug anytime I needed it. He was a snuggler. Scott lived his life by his own rules, and he had plenty of stories to tell. But moving home to be a present and involved father was the best thing that Scott ever did in his life. He could not love you more, Maddie. I will forever miss him and be grateful for all the love he showed me throughout my life.
Our next speaker will be Dean, his close friend.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming. Scotty and I have been friends for 40 years. We met when we were boys, really. Both kids of divorce, both kind of had chips on our shoulders, and we were ready to take on the world. Scotty was he was the most loyal friend, kind-hearted, fun-loving, just a fantastic person. He always fought for the underdog. We had the privilege of going to school together, working together, and of course having a lot of fun together. Loved the arts, loved music. When we worked together in Dallas, Scotty, I always referred to him as the union leader. I was his boss, and so this is a typical Scotty story. My sales group was coming in late on a regular basis, and I decided that I was going to put the sales meetings right at the beginning of the day. So I wanted them to be at 9 o'clock so everybody had to show up to work on time. So I made the announcement to everybody, and lunch rolled around, and we were over at the break room coffee area, and Scotty kind of sidles up to me, and he says, 9 o'clock's pretty early, man. He said, you know, I like to get my coffee before we really get started on any thought process. He said, I really think we should make it 9:15. I said, noted, Scotty, noted. But this was, you know, the union leader at work. Typical of Scotty. Maddie, when you were born, Scotty became a teacher. First, he taught me, you know, that it was most important that he do the right thing. And there was no question in his mind that he wanted to be a part of your life, he was ready to be a father figure. And he just embraced the role and went straight to Cleveland and did what he had to do. And, I admired him so much and admired his relationship with you. And I hope that you value the years that you got together. My father also passed when I was a young man. And it's moving the memories forward, right? It's going to be sharing everything that he meant to you moving forward with the people in your life. So make sure that you pass that forward and you share with him. Later on, after Matt went into the military and Scotty came back to Dallas, he's a little bit of a curmudgeon there for a while. I think it's fair to say. It was difficult to get him to come out and do anything. He was kind of a homebody and wanted to stay home all the time. So when I came in, it was out of character for him. I'd say, hey, there's a great band playing tonight. Let's go grab some dinner and go out and see them. No, man, now I'm going home. I'm tired. So I came in one night and there was a really good band playing. And I said, come on, we're going to go see this band. This is a great band. It's a great venue. I'll buy you dinner. No, I don't want to go, man. I don't want to go. So I said, look, it's not an option. I don't have a car. You're driving. So we're going. So he grudgingly went. We go to a restaurant, kind of a popular spot, and we were sitting at the bar having dinner, and there were a couple of girls next to us who were probably 15 years younger than us. Of course, that wasn't a deterrent for Scotty, right? So Scotty's chatting them up, and they brought our meals, and we were enjoying. My meal was excellent, so I was chatting with Scotty in between his tidbits with the girls next to him, and I let slide, I guess, showing my age. I said, "Man, this meal is the bomb." And the girl sitting next to him turned and looked at him and said, "Did your friend just say the bomb? You mean like thebomb.com?" Scotty turned to me, he said, "Why you say that, man?" "Why you say that? I was doing so well." But those and a million other instances I could share with you, but I wanted to share those. Scotty was always my constant companion for arts, civil discourse, literature, discussing literature, music, just a constant companion who was always enlightening and always willing to take up the argument. I'm going to miss him, but I want everyone in this room to make sure that we share his life as we move forward. One thing that I've learned from loss in my life is that it doesn't always have to be loss, right? The physical being may not be there, but it's so important that we all move that spirit forward. Thank you.
Birth is a beginning, and death is a destination. But life is a journey, a going, a growing, from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness, from health to sickness and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey stage by stage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage, made stage by stage, from birth to death to life everlasting. We're going to be finishing with our memorial prayers and one other prayer that those who wish to recite with me, the Mourner's Kaddish. But I know there are some of you here that are not of the Jewish faith. So I want to take the time to explain what these prayers that I'll be reciting shortly mean. In the Jewish belief, when someone dies, their soul returns to God. God made it, God takes it back. There's no purgatory in Judaism. That's for my sake and Billy's sake. All souls return to God. This first prayer, which I'll read in Hebrew and then the English, you'll hear in the English translation that we're asking God to quickly accept Billy's soul. I'm sorry, Billy. Scotty's. I'm thinking about you and me too much, Billy. Okay. Scotty's soul. Quickly. The final prayer is what we call the Mourner's Kaddish. The Mourner's Kaddish is a prayer that doesn't talk about death. It talks about life and binding generations together. Life being the most important thing in Judaism, no matter how short or how long. So this is a prayer that takes us from death back to life and asks us to continue from generation to generation. God, you gave us loved ones and make them the strength of our life, the light of our years, the light of our eyes. They depart and leave us on a lonely way, but you are the living fountain from which our healing flows. To you the stricken look for comfort, and the sorrow laden for consolation. O God, we see life as through windows that open on eternity. We see that love endures and the soul endures. We see that the years are more than grass that withers, more than flowers that fade. They weave a timeless pattern in a world that is a dwelling place of love and glory. For those who can, please rise for the El Molei Rachamim. El Molei Rachamim Shochem Bramamim. Hamsei Menuchat Nachak Hataka Kamfei Hashkina Im Kudoshim Uterin Kazar Harakia Miserim Es Nishmas Scott Spero. Sholach Le'olamo Bial Harachamim Yastebrehu B'Sefer Kanafo Le'olamim Vayisror B'Zor HaChayim Es Nishmato Alanoi Hu Nachalato V'Yenuach B'Shalom Al Mishkavav V'Amar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Scott Spero, who is in eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And let us all say, Amen. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The Spirit returns to God who gave it. It is only the house of the Spirit which we now place within the earth. The Spirit itself cannot die. Receive in mercy, O God, the soul of our departed Scott. Grant him that everlasting peace which you have prepared for us in the world to come. Though no human eye has seen, nor ear has heard, nor mind has grasped it, still it is our sure inheritance and our everlasting portion. O God, help us to understand that grief and love go hand in hand, that the pain which loss inflicts is a measure of a love stronger than death. Though we cry in the anguish of our hearts, may we be like children who know that their parent is near and who cling unafraid to the trusted hand. In this spirit, O God, do we commit all that is precious to us to your keeping, as we repeat words hallowed by generations. The Morning Scottish. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shemei rabah. B'yamal divrach yirusei v'yamlik malchusei. B'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei dechal beis Yisrael. B'agalav izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabah mevarach le'elam u'amei amaya. Yisbarach v'yishtabach v'yisboar v'yisramam v'yisnaseh. V'yisadar v'yisalev v'yisalal shemei tekudashah b'riku. V'yela mimkal b'chasa v'shirasa. Tush b'chasa v'nechamasa. Damri ram b'yama v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. The sages have left a charge for Scott, and it says as follows: Lech ki shalach Adonai, go your way, for God has called you. Lech v'Adonai yeh imecha, go your way, may God be with you. May your righteousness go before you, and the glory of God receive you, and grant you that everlasting peace which we all seek. On behalf of Scott's family, I wish to take this time to thank those for coming and sharing this time with us and helping us through this journey. This concludes our service. Just some directions. Those who parked on this side of the building can go out this door or that door. Those who parked on the other side can go through the lobby and that. Again, I thank you all for coming.
Marlene. All right, who is she will call? Eileen? Yes, yes. Darlene Moore.
Oh, stop making me feel so short.
All right, now it's heels, baby.
It's bad enough I lost 2 inches anyway, but now look. I know, yeah. All right, okay, we'll save you some food. I will. Yeah, she worked it out.
Pam, where you going? Oh, you don't want to just
Oh, you're on the other side?
You can walk through. Okay.
Yeah, we're right here. Yeah, we're right. We're packing in the front row right here.